guys, what's up? That was too much energy. Lower it down a bit.
Welcome back. For the three of you that listened to our podcast, we were gone last week because we have burned ourselves out a little bit. We've been doing entirely too much in this quarantine, so we decided we needed a break.
Yes.
Instead of just trying to put out some kind of a...
mediocre content.
Exactly. So that was the executive decision we made. Welcome back to this week, where we continue to burn ourselves out because this is the stuff we want to do. Anyway, today, whose idea was it? I think it was my idea. Was it my idea?
I don't know. It
was an idea that we came up with in the past that we want to talk about. And because it is graduation week, we thought it would go with the theme. So today we're going to talk about...
graduating uni, life in the real world.
Have you ever faced a difficult choice of buying avocado toast or real estate? If so, this podcast is for you. Join me and my best friend and co-host as we discuss everything from pop culture to the political climate that affects us all. This is Tag Yourself. I'm Daniel Zagorski.
And I'm Hannah Byrne.
Yeah, so I suppose less about the college bit, but more about...
how to adult.
Well, what happens now?
Yeah, what do I do?
I've graduated. The dopamine from graduation is wearing tin.
Yes. And sucks for all of you that didn't get a ceremony or a party, and that's kind of shit. I'm sorry for you guys.
Yes.
Into the real world you go with no celebrations.
Yes. But of course, bear in mind, it is no less of an achievement just because there's no ceremony. I don't know, some ceremonies may be postponed. I don't know what the story is, but
online ones.
If you're not getting a ceremony, your degree is just as valid. Your experience in college is
and
just
you
as
can
valid.
celebrate later when we're not in love.
Yeah, throw your own graduation party.
For real.
Yeah. And I mean, to be honest, they're a little overrated sometimes. You end up sitting there for 2 hours clapping for people you don't even know.
True, and especially when your best friend's name is Zagorski and he's the last one there in the entirety of the law school in UCD, and you had to sit for 3 hours with his Polish parents and you don't speak any English to them.
Yes.
Fun story.
Yeah.
But your graduation after party was fun. I made that for you. In this house with you and me.
Yeah, very social. So that's, so graduation is not what we're discussing today. We're discussing what happens after graduation.
When you have to be a grown-up. Or
an
adult.
Because I feel like there's, a certain expectations that you have. Oh, I'm going to graduate college. I'm going to be a real world adult.
Real world grown-up.
From that moment on, you are adult TM. And it's time to do adult stuff.
Big boy things. Put on your big boy pants.
Yeah.
A big girl pants and go out into the world.
And I mean, even when you're in college, yes, a lot of people will do part-time jobs. But like, a lot of the time, you'll either still live with your parents or you'll be living in like student dorms, which is really not anywhere near the same as living on your own once you move out. And a part-time job and a college, like, it's still not the same adult experience.
All the time, every day, full-time. 39 hours a week minimum, depending on what country you live in.
Yes. So, I guess, let's start off. You tell us what sort of expectations you had coming out of your uni. Like, I know your uni experience was a bit delayed because you took a year or so out to chill and do other stuff. But what was your expectations, I guess, going out of that? And then what was the hard crushing reality?
Well, I finished my nursing degree and then I thought I'll move to Ireland to live with Daniel, my best friend. So I packed all my stuff in the back of my car and I drove 7 hours across England. I went onto a boat and came into Ireland. And I had no plan further than that, really. I had some job interviews lined up.
As you will probably come to find, Hannah is not a big fan of plans.
Oh, no. I'm very spontaneous. And just like... fly by the seat of my pants. So I was like, you know what, this will work out for me for sure. I also took a loan from my bank in England and I was like, off I go to a different country now.
Yep.
And I thought, like, I won't put it out there, I'd never been in an apartment before because I lived in like a nice middle-class house growing up. Very suburban. All my friends in high school and in college all lived in houses like that. I'd never seen what an apartment looks like. So my only ideas of apartments were ones I had seen in movies and TV shows.
I think that's a lot of people's expectations when they don't live in a city like Dublin. you know, and also especially growing up with a family, most of the time you'll have a house.
Yeah.
Just because families rarely can fit into an apartment.
Yeah. But like, I don't know, some people, I think maybe if you have older siblings, you'd visit their apartment.
Yeah,
or if you had older cousins. I think I went to one apartment in London of some relation from a far relation, but like he was married and had like a first kid on the way, so it was a big apartment. So I was like, oh, okay, everyone has big apartments, you know? So I assumed they were all going to look beautiful and nice, and I was like, oh, it'll be like one of the apartments in Friends, or like...
Yeah, TV shows don't help with the expectations.
At all. Or like, I was like, oh, it'll be like in 13 Going on 30, and she had like this penthouse apartment. It's like, okay, I know I won't have that nice because I won't be that rich, but like, it'll definitely have floor-to-ceiling windows, it'll be really bright, it'll be very modern, because all apartments are modern on TV, and I'll have like a cat and a dog, and I'll just work a few hours a day, and then I'll spend the rest of my time ordering sushi and takeout, and like on the phone to my BFS, so I have face masks and bubble baths. And like, that was a little naive, I guess, but definitely not the truth.
No.
So I came to Dublin and I ended up living in a hotel for a month, which was also a dumb mistake because I chose an expensive enough hotel, like a midline hotel, so it ended up costing me a lot to live there for a month while I was looking for a job. And then it's hard to find a place to live, for one. Okay, so once you leave university, a landlord wants a reference. And if you've only ever lived at home or in a dorm, who's going to give you a reference?
Yeah.
No one. Two, like, I needed a bank account to be able... Because my step was even harder because I moved countries as well as leaving my parents' house.
So you've got all the other logistics.
So I didn't have a bank account in that country. I didn't have an address. The bank wanted me to have an address.
You can't have an address unless you have a bank.
Yeah, I couldn't get an apartment until I had a bank account. So all of that was very confusing. And I used Daniel's bank account, but like, it was just a mess and hard. Took me a long time to find apartments. And then I was also blown out of the water by how expensive the rent was. And this was back in 2014.
And also, not to mention, if you're moving to a place, like even if you're a college kid who's not necessarily moving countries, you might be moving cities. Like you might not be going to live in the same city as your parents.
Yeah, leaving your hometown.
There's another thing of, where do you find an apartment?
Yeah.
Because if you don't know the place, you might be getting an apartment, you're like, oh, this is a great deal.
Yeah.
But actually you're in a crime-ridden neighborhood.
Yes, which is what happened to me. I didn't even get a good deal. I got like a very expensive, tiny, almost studio apartment by how tiny it was. Yeah. The oven would pull out and hit the back of the couch, which was the living room. And the bathroom was the biggest room in the house, and the bedroom was pretty tiny. And it used to be a Guinness storehouse, so there was no double glazing. It was freezing, and it was in a very, very rough area of Dublin with a lot of crime.
Aesthetically, if you looked at it and squinted your eye, you might be like, oh, this is a cute rustic apartment.
Yeah, I thought, oh my god, there was like exposed red brick on the back wall, and I was like, oh, it looks kind of like cool, and like the apartments where you see in like TV shows where it's like New Girl or something, where they live in like an industrial apartment or something that, where there's exposed red brick, and I was like, oh, kind of cool. But no, not kind of cool. So number one hardest thing was definitely the reality of finding a place to live, securing the bag, securing the loan, the lease. Yeah. And then actually living in it.
Yeah. So just without delving into the too much details of that, reality-wise, what would you say have been like big reality checks versus what maybe is better than your expectations were, and what's like worse than your expectations were?
I didn't have any expectations. I didn't think about like the legal side of the paperwork or anything at all, because as you can hear by my idea of what my apartment was going to be like, I was kind of a dreamer and didn't really think about those things. So when they were like, okay, we need this, that, and all of the stuff you need to even rent an apartment, like job references is like, you don't even have a job. Like there's a lot they expect from you. So don't leave uni and think you can just go to your first place and be like, I'm going to live here. They'll expect a lot of things from you. So you look into what...
Or at the very least, be semi-prepared so that you know what they'll be looking for. Yeah. And you either have a way around it or you have that paperwork.
And also don't think that you see the ad on the internet and it says like, whatever, 1,000 a month for rent. Don't go there thinking, oh, I'll pay 1,000, I have it. They always want deposit, which is always 1 month's rent up plus the 1 month.
And this, so I think this depends on the country and city as well. Yeah. In some places, I know in America, the deposit can be less or it can be more as well.
Yeah. And sometimes they can ask for 2 months rent up front, even 3. I've seen places when they're giving to students, they want 6 months rent up front.
How is a student going to have that?
I know, it's insane. But like, because they assume a student's going to wreck the place.
And also, no, as well, is that a lot of the times you'll be like, oh, an apartment, great. But also there might be 20 other people looking at that apartment as well.
Oh, yeah. When I went to viewings, there were lines down the street for people to get in. And people who are like, you know, in their mid-30s of like late 20s, mid-30s, professionals, married couples, like far more likely the landlord will give them the apartment than to you, someone who has no references, straight out of college, no job, or like
retail job,
barely started like your job. So you're gonna have to make it work for you. Make sure you really like. I would always go and chat to the person renting it. Like, make your face known. Don't just look around and like walk off quietly. Like, ask them questions. Ask the person who used to rent there questions if they're there, because they'll tell you stuff that the person who's renting it to you won't if they're different people. So, like, if the last client is moving out and you're coming in, like, I chat to some woman and she's like, "Yeah, there's terrible black mold. They won't tell you about it. Like, it comes back. They wiped it down for the viewing," and I was like, "Oh."
Yeah. So I suppose the tip for that is speak to the person who is living there or did live there if they're available to speak, and also speak to the person who is showing the place. As in, ask the right questions. Do not be like, is this a party city? You're not gonna get the place. But maybe be like, you know, what internet providers are available in this area, or is this, you know, a quiet street? Is this a quiet complex, or does there tend to be a lot of noise? You know, stuff that's going to indicate to them that you're a responsible human being who's not going to get into the house and trash the place.
True. And also on that note, there's a lot of other things like don't expect to be able straight out of college to rent an apartment by yourself. I was very lucky that I was able to do that. At this day and age, I don't think I would be able to, and most people could not.
Right now, straight out of no.
You will not make a high enough salary to live by yourself in an apartment. So if that's your like dream, like you're gonna have to pick up another job if you really want that. Most people will live with roommates.
Roommates
and
or a partner
to get over.
Or you live with your parents until you can buy a house. But to be honest, at this stage, if I had to do that, what's the point? Like, why would I live with my parents until I'm 30?
And you waste your like you can't enjoy your independence.
It's just not the same living with parents, is it?
It's hard. I think that's another thing that's a different, because if you were with your parents the whole time you're in uni and then you get that whole independence, that's a big culture shock to yourself, because it's not only like, oh my God, I can do whatever I want whenever I want, but it's also the fact of I have to do everything myself now. So if you're not used to washing, cooking, cleaning.
I'd be interested to see some sort of statistic or whatever, because I bet that kids who lived with their parents all through college move out of their parents' house way later than those who didn't. Because I bet like people who moved out and maybe did find accommodation in the city or student digs, anything like that, have gotten, it's not the full experience, but it's a sample of what it kind of would be like living without your parents. So you get a taster for that, and I think you learn through that as well. It's almost like a trial period of adulting, because it's nothing near enough what adulting is, but it is that step towards it. You know, you don't have your mammy doing your washing up and cooking your dinner every single day.
You have to do that yourself.
You know?
Or you just eat
or paying for your bills, or everything. And then you realize,
damn, this is not gonna work.
It is a little effort. With the renting an apartment, another thing that I would just say, very important, is if you are starting an apartment search, Google that shit, because you will find all the guides that you need, and they'll tell you exactly what paperwork you will need. Wherever you are, what city you are, there is going to be some sort of a guide on it. And it'll tell you exactly what paperwork those people are looking for.
Definitely.
Find that paperwork and have it ready before you start searching. Because if one of those landlords takes a liking to you and says, cool, I'd like to give you the apartment, I need the paperwork, and you're like, give me 3 weeks to give it to you, they're going to be like,
give it to someone else.
I'm going to go ahead and offer it to someone else.
Definitely. Bring it even with you to the viewing. I did that every time. I bring a portfolio. I had everything there. I literally could hand it over on the day. But don't shove it in those people's faces. No, just have it with you, so if they are like, oh, blah, 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 then you can be like, oh, here's this, here's this. And also on another note on that, kind of like rule of thumb my dad told me before I left was like, don't spend more than a third of your income on your rent, which is very difficult to do at this stage in life, because you won't have a lot of money and the rent is high. Where if you're in a capital city, the rent is going to be extortionate.
The caveat to that is it depends. Because if someone is like, you and insist on having a minimum number of roommates, yes, you'll be paying more than a third.
Yeah.
But if you're someone who doesn't mind and is willing to split with 3, 4, 5 roommates, then yes, that'll be no problem.
Yeah.
And also, again, depending on what city you are. Because if you go to Belfast, you could very easily have a very, very nice place with not so many roommates.
Yeah,
and be spending probably less than a third.
And also depends what your priorities are. Because if your priority is to live alone, then you might be able to do it, but you also might not be able to do anything else the rest of the month apart from live in your apartment. Like you won't have spare money to go out and go clubbing or drinking or buy takeout or go on holiday, like whatever it is.
Yeah, I guess that's another thing. When you're finishing college now, maybe you're thinking, what am I going to do? Am I going to move out? Am I going to live with my parents? Am I going to move somewhere else to find a job?
Yeah.
I guess a good thing to figure out is, what are your priorities?
Yeah.
You know, is your priority currently going to be to, maybe you already have a job offer and you're like, my priority is to get into that job, knuckle down, do my best, do overtime, prove myself and try and climb the ranks as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Then that's fine. You just need a place that's not going to take a lot of your money, that you can just go home and you can be comfortable and you can do your work in peace. Yeah. But someone might be like, I'm just, I'm going into this job. This is a job that I'm just doing so I can get money.
Yeah.
But actually one of my priorities is so I can travel.
Yeah.
In that case, you want to get something that's cheaper.
Yeah.
That you can spend as little of your money as possible on.
Yeah.
And then be able to save.
Definitely.
You really, I think the big thing about adulting is that suddenly money does actually, unfortunately, become the center of a lot of things.
Yeah, definitely. And surprises will come along the way that you do not expect. And my dad always told me to have like a rainy day fund, which I still don't to this point in my life, and I wish I did. But if you can make even a little bit of savings, because you might come to a month and you're like, I can't get by. I don't know how to get by. Because like you're like something you own or you need, like your car might break down, that car to get to work.
Yeah. And on that, I read a very useful tip somewhere that said, because a lot of people are very bad with budgeting and they think it's complicated and they don't know how to go about it. A book I read said that every month or every week, whenever you get paid, you should put 10%. Was it 10% or 20%? I think you put 10%. If you have any debts, loans, anything like that, you should put 20% of your paycheck aside. Put it aside for that out of every paycheck, and just accumulate that. And obviously pay your debts as you go. Sometimes that might allow you to actually pay them at a quicker rate, but just do that so you can get rid of them. And then another 10% from your paycheck is just for stuff for you. So that might mean you put it into your savings account. Maybe you put it towards a trip, something like that. But at least that way, 30% of your paycheck each time goes towards stuff, and that's sectioned off. It's not for you to spend on random stuff like coffee, takeout, whatever else, because that is already in the savings account, out of your sight. You can't touch it.
Yeah.
So anyway, moving on from like moving out and finding your own apartment and all that boring stuff.
Does it ever? Adult means you get to do whatever you like.
Does it ever get exciting being an adult?
Kind of. I like to do whatever I want, so there's no one to tell you like that you can't order takeout 5 times in a week and eat a tray.
Yeah, you get to find out why that's a bad choice yourself.
No, it's kind of fun.
Is it? It's not fun for your bank account.
You have to also do adult stuff like find a doctor and make your own GP appointments. Find a dentist, make those appointments.
Yeah, it always baffles me how many people seem incapable of that. You know that, but you are one of those. I keep telling you, you have
Find you a doctor's that has an online service and you can book online and you don't have to talk on the telephone to a secretary.
That doesn't exist in Ireland. So move to England first, and that's where you can avail of those services.
True. But being an adult is really hard. I don't think it's going to be easy.
I would like a refund, please.
Where is my return?
You should have read the small print, terms and conditions.
Yeah.
Before
stay with your parents as long as you can. The real world is hard.
Yeah, remember those days when you're like, God damn, I wish I was an adult. I could do anything. Take it back.
Yeah, you can't do anything.
I mean,
some good things about being an independent adult, Daniel. Tell us some. Regale us with some stories of being an independent adult.
All right, well,
You have
There
none?
is some. Listen.
I'm racking my brain very hard.
No, like, I mean, like when you're a kid, like it kind of feels like your world is kind of closed. I think for most people, right? It kind of feels like you're contained within a particular, not even like a physical area. You're just like contained, and there's only so much to your world because you've got like school, and then maybe you've got your hobbies. Maybe you do like acting classes or sports after school, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's contained. Like you're there. And yes, some people kind of, start working towards their goals and dreams if they're lucky and don't have parents that insist they do something practical that will actually get them money in the real world. But it still feels contained. Like, this is my small square of the world and I'm in it. Kind of. Whereas I feel like when you're an adult, yes, like there's a lot of responsibilities which, like, you could say technically restrict you. But on the other hand, you do also have a good amount of freedom. Yeah. Like, say, like, anything is possible.
Yeah.
But I have found that, really, as cliche as that is, anything can really be possible.
Yeah.
I think just people all the time get very tired from the daily grind, or a lot of other stuff is easier than the stuff they think they want.
That's true.
So, and like, I'm not sitting here preaching because, like, fully me. A lot of the days, that might be me. Yeah. Like, I have certain goals, certain dreams that I want to do. But some days you literally just want to sit there and play a game on your phone.
Yeah.
And that sucks sometimes. But I think the sucky thing about being an adult, especially when you end up in a job that you are not necessarily passionate about.
Yeah.
You end up having to do that 9-to-5 grind most of the time. Sometimes, of course, it's not 9-to-5. But if you are hoping to change the trajectory of your life or do anything else or actually reach for your dreams, the truth of the matter is that you're going to have to work your butt off. Yeah. And you're going to have to work twice as hard as everyone else who's just doing their daily job. Yeah,
because you have to make ends meet. You have to make money to live and survive.
First and foremost.
And on top of that, you then
need to make the
time and effort and sometimes money to work on your other aspirations and goals.
But the thing about that is not supposed to be depressing.
Should be exciting.
It's possible.
Yeah.
But the thing for that is, I think a lot of people get stuck in, like, like, if you're perfectly happy with the job that you have and, like, that's what you're passionate about, and that's kind of like you're happy with that square of the world, you're like, I'm happy where I live, whatever. That's perfectly fine. Yeah. Honestly, fair play to you, because I would love to be in a spot where I can do my job daily that I'm passionate about, then come home and have free time.
Yeah, just chill.
I would love that. Yeah. Honestly, dream. But there's also a lot of people who don't necessarily love their job.
Yeah.
But they just do it, and they do have a dream, but either they don't have the discipline, or they don't have the motivation,
or they're too scared,
or they don't have the self-belief.
Yeah, so they put it on a back burner.
So they don't do it. Like, there's a lot of reasons behind why. I'll just give you, like, let's make up an imaginary person, Fred.
Yeah.
Who has an office job that bores him to death, but maybe one of his dreams is to be a famous DJ, or a famous singer, something like that, right? The thing is, right, our full-time jobs are hard as it is.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what job you have, of course, there's jobs that are more draining than others, like nursing, being a doctor, being a surgeon, being a firefighter, policeman. Like, there's jobs that are exhausting. But even a regular office job is draining. When you're sitting anywhere for an extended period of time, for like 35 hours of your week or 40 hours of your week, however many hours you work, it's draining.
It is.
And it is very difficult sometimes to come home, deal with all your other responsibilities. Of course, like, maybe you go to the gym as well, or maybe you of course have to make dinner, you have to do groceries, you have to pay the bills, you have to do all these things. It then can be very overwhelming to sit down and think, how do I move towards my goal?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people tend to just not even think about that, but just not even want to start on that, because it just feels overwhelming.
Yeah. Where do they start?
Yeah. And I totally get that. But at the same time, if I can say one thing to you is, if you don't do anything, neither will the world.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no agent is going to come along and hear Fred singing in the shower and give him a record deal.
That's true.
It's not going to happen.
There's this quote, and it says, the future belongs to those who believe in the power of their dreams. And it's true. Because if you don't believe in your dreams, you're not going to get anywhere. You have to put some...
First and foremost, you have to figure out if you have a dream.
Yeah.
And if you do have that dream, how badly you want it.
Yeah.
Because realistically, a dream that is going to get you to do that extra work, that is going to get you to get out of your rut and do that extra work that a lot of other people don't have to do, it has to have some power behind it. And it has to be a dream that you actually really want to see come true.
Yeah, come to fruition.
Because it happens like with exercise. Sure, if you ask any number of guys, a lot of them would say, I'd love to have abs and big muscles.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, a lot of those guys don't want it badly enough. It's not a priority in their life to do that.
Yeah.
Which is why they don't put the extra work in towards that goal. Which is not to say that they should be. No. People have different priorities. That's perfectly fine. But what I'm saying is, if you do have a dream that is this powerful and that is this strong, then you need to find a way to make it work.
That's true.
And your giving up on it shouldn't be based on the limitations that are in your life. Because there's always going to be limitations.
Yeah.
There's been many people who faced adversity but who had a dream and made it work. But to make it work, you need to have that dream that has that power behind it. This is what being an adult is. Being an adult is finding your space in the world and where it is. And I think the hardest part of it is figuring out where I am right now. Is this where I'm going to be in 5-10 years' time? Yeah. And if it isn't, then what can I, as an adult who has the power to do anything I want with my life, what am I going to do about it? Yeah. So we could sit here and talk about bills and paying internet bills and electricity bills.
But I also think, like, your way of thinking, it's nice, but it's also quite idealistic and doesn't take into consideration people who have far more adversity in their life than we do, you know?
Like, try examples at me.
Like, if you have kids, if you're a teen mom or you're a young
Of course.
parent.
I'm not saying that everyone has a level playing field.
No, absolutely not. You have to provide care for, like, someone else in your life. Like, you won't have that spare time.
Oh, no, I understand that.
You're super poor and you don't have money to do it. Like, there's also a lot
Anyone can work towards their dreams.
Yeah.
And I will argue, till the cows come home, you on that point if you want to. Yeah. There are going to be people who have it way harder. Yeah. Like, if you ask me, if you looked at me 4 or 5 years ago, I had it way harder to try to work for my dreams back then. Yeah. That doesn't mean I didn't want to work on them, but it was harder for me. There are going to be times in people's lives when sometimes it's easier to work on them, sometimes it's harder. Yeah. But there's also going to be people who have it very, very difficult. Yeah. That doesn't mean they should give up on them. No. That means that they just have to figure out what working towards their dreams looks like for them. Yeah. What is possible.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I also think that where we started this discussion, like moving out, that's a difficult time in everyone's life. So also don't be so hard on yourself if you don't find time to work on your dreams right at the beginning, because it's really stressful trying to start your life as an adult. Like
I just said, if you asked me 4 or 5 years ago, I would not be in a space where I can continuously on a daily basis think about my dreams and work towards them. Yeah. You need to, first of all, settle yourself, find a place to live, just set small goals in your life. Yeah. Yes, of course, you a lot of people have like this overarching goal dream. That is, that's my life dream. That's what I want to go towards. Yeah. But there is going to be times in your life when you need to put that on a back burner for a second and set slightly more immediate goals. Yeah. The goal right now, the dream right now, is to find an apartment, moved out of my parents' house, and become stable. Yeah. And that could take a month, that could take 3 months, that could take a year for some people.
Yeah, and sometimes also you need to change your goals if they're not working for you. Like, if you've applied to 200, 300 jobs and you can't get a job, then maybe you're applying to the wrong type of jobs. Like, the economy is really bad at the moment, and I can only imagine how bad it's going to be after this virus is gone and people go back to work, because everyone's going to be clamoring for a job because everyone got fired. But, like, you're just going to have to push through it and try your best to make your way in the world. Like, I think it's going to be a really tough time for people who've just graduated, because it was hard enough graduates of 1, 2, 3 years finding jobs, and if you've got let go of that job that you had for 3 years, like that's got to be a really shitty, difficult time for people, and especially you graduates just flying out into the world. Like it's gonna be really, really tough, but you're gonna have to persevere through and find a route that works for you.
Yeah, but at the same time, it is also a time to stand out.
Yeah,
and this is the time when people who are willing to take the extra step and are willing to show initiative will stand out and will thrive.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of people who get lost in the process, of course. But if you're in that situation, yes, it's a crappy situation, but it's also about realizing the opportunities that are out there.
Yeah.
So like you were saying, an interesting point, yes, there's people who will apply to many, 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 many jobs and see no results. Here's the thing. You can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results.
Yeah, you have to change.
It's not going to happen. No.
The same in any experiment.
If you've been applying to the same kind of a job, maybe reach out. Like, hi, I'm really sorry I'm reaching out just because I've received a lot of rejections from similar kind of posts, and I'm really struggling to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
If you can't figure this out yourself, or maybe ask around your parents, family, whoever knows you, why they think you would be getting rejected.
Yeah.
And it's hard to take, but if you don't learn and you just keep doing the same thing, you'll just keep getting rejections, which is even harder to take. So take feedback from people around you. Take feedback from the people you're applying for jobs for. If you can, don't pester them because they would hate that and put you on like, oh, we're never hiring this guy.
Yeah.
But learn from it.
Yeah. There was even that thing where it said about like contacting someone in the industry that you want to work in, like before you graduate or like close around the time, and being like, oh, I'm a student still, and saying like, could you give me any advice, or could we have a meeting for coffee? I can just like pick your brain about something, because people like to be thought of as an expert in their area. Yeah. And then you're on that person's mind, and if you message them every few months and you update them with what you've been doing to show that you're being proactive.
I mean, here's the thing. We live in the age of technology. LinkedIn is there and is one of the most underutilized platforms ever.
Yeah, for
any sort of career that you want to have, there is someone on LinkedIn with that career title. Yeah. The most specific ones. Yeah. You could probably find them. Yeah. You want to be a cardiovascular surgeon, but you're not sure if you'd actually like the practicality of the job. Yeah. Like maybe you're finishing your medicine degree, but now you need to specialize. You're not sure. Find a cardiovascular surgeon on LinkedIn. Say, hi, I'm doing my medicine degree. I'm a student. I'm really unsure about the area I want to go into, but I think I would really enjoy cardiac or cardiovascular surgery. Yeah. Would you be willing to give me some of your time, either online or via coffee, where we could discuss maybe what your job looks like, in, like practically in real life? Yeah. You know? And then pick their brains. And the thing is, you're not asking them for anything. No. You're just asking for their expertise. For their People love to feel like the expert. Yeah. Think about a time in your life when someone came to you for advice on something that you know a lot about. Yeah. It makes you feel good and it makes you feel helpful. People will want to help you. That's true. But you're not finishing that meeting and going, okay, can you offer me a job? No. No. But what you can then do is you have a contact now. Yeah. In an industry that you potentially want to get into. Yeah. And guess what? 3 months from then, you can reach out and be like, this is the progress I've made. I've actually ended up going down the cardiac route. Thank you for giving me the advice. Yeah. I'm actually really enjoying it. Yeah. People will love that. Yeah. And that's one of the ways. But like you were saying, like say, for example, like you're applying to a lot of jobs, you're not getting anywhere. Yeah. Maybe you're applying to a lot of copywriting jobs. Yeah. Do you have any copywriting experience? Yeah. Do you have something to show for it? If you're sending your CV across or your cover letter, is there any spelling mistakes in it? That's it. Or get someone else to look over your CV and cover letter. You know, don't just keep sending it off if it's not garnishing. Someone else needs to look at your CV. Another set of eyes. And also, you might just you might not be interviewing well, even if you're getting interviews, but not the job. So there's that. You know, I think I want to just go back to the CV because I think this is such an underrated point. Yeah. Because within my job, in my previous job, we would discuss CVs that would come through, but you wouldn't believe the amount of CVs that come in that have spelling mistakes in them. Really? Or that haven't been read. Yes. That's ridiculous. Yes. No. Yeah, it's crazy. But and what? It's such an easy thing to get right that it really shouldn't be happening. Someone else on one of their CVs put that they were detail-oriented, but in the same sentence they had a spelling mistake. That immediately throws your credibility out of the window. Yeah. And it really, really does not reflect on you. No. And especially if it's a very competitive sector.
Yeah.
Your CV is getting tossed out and never looked at again.
That's it.
So your CV needs to be good.
Yeah.
Someone else needs to look at it, because no matter how many times you reread it, you might still miss something.
Yeah.
You need a different pair of eyes.
Definitely. That's very true.
And also, don't think that a CV has to be this rigid piece of paper.
Yeah.
Change it up, depending on what you're applying for.
Yeah.
If you're applying for a copywriting job, sell yourself to me.
Yeah.
Copywriting is all about selling stuff to people, capturing people's attention. So do that in your CV. Because if I'm reading your CV and I'm falling asleep, I don't think I want you to write for me.
Yeah.
If it's something like a medicine post or engineering, maybe it doesn't need to be so creative.
Yeah.
But if you're going for a creative job,
yeah, you need to show your creativity in it. Like even like, which was it? What company was that? When you work for Lush in the cover letter, they're like, we don't take CVs. We just want you to like wow us with a cover letter, like say something interesting, exciting, crazy. And that's just a shop that sells soaps, but they have a wacky, you know.
Yeah. And that's where really knowing about the company that you're applying to comes in handy.
Yeah.
Because it is very easy to just sort of click apply on a lot of those websites.
Yeah, not change your CV for each of them or your cover letter.
Do the same thing. And you know what? For some jobs, it works. If it's a retail post or if it's just office-based and you're sitting doing nothing, just filing stuff, it will work. But a lot of time, if you're looking to start a proper career, where it's a particular career field, you need to stand out.
That's it.
And you should want to stand out. You shouldn't want to just blend in with the other people.
You want to be the best at your job so you can get higher and get promotions.
So I think if you, and I'm sure there's a lot of people like this, if you're stuck in a rut when it comes to finding a job, try and take a step back and look at your process, how you're doing it objectively. Like imagine that you're your friend or maybe like a career advisor stepping back and just looking at the whole process and reviewing it. Where could you improve?
Yeah.
Is it the post that you're applying for? Should you apply for more junior posts?
Yeah.
Perhaps you don't have enough experience for this career path at all.
Yeah.
So maybe you need to start an internship.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to ask to shadow someone.
Yeah, and see what it's like. You might not even like the area you think you're going to, so you should at least have a day shadowing or seeing how somebody else does their job, or you're not going to have any idea of what it's like.
And also, if you ever get an opportunity to do the post that you want to do, but say it's on a voluntary basis, take it.
Yes, definitely.
Take it. A lot of people would scoff at the idea of doing an internship or something like a volunteering base. Like if you're be doing advertising or copywriting or anything like that, and a local paper or a pet shelter or anything like that comes to you and they're like, we need someone to run our social media accounts. Or we need someone to write a newsletter for us. But we can't afford to pay it. Do not turn that down. If you have the capacity to take it on, and if that's the area you're trying to get into, doing something like that is going to make you stand out so much.
Yeah, and you can put it on your CV. Nothing is ever worthless or wasted your time because you can put it down as experience.
And not only that, you then have those contacts there. You have new references. If you do a good job, you also get to test different things. Like if you're taking that on a voluntary basis, perhaps you have a little bit more freedom, which means that you maybe get to test your own theories. Like what does better when you write stuff to people, you know? Like just, it's easy to get lost in the sea of looking for jobs and applying for them. Yeah. But there is so many options. Yeah. You should never feel like you're out of options.
Yeah, definitely. There's anything, like any kind of job you can imagine is out there. And if you have an interest in it and you have ability to do one of those jobs, then you should put yourself forward and try your best for it, you know?
Yeah. If you think you've tried every single way, there's about 50 others at least.
Yeah, definitely.
Another good thing is you're not in that alone. So you shouldn't try, if this job search that you're trying to do is something that's really affecting you mentally in any way, shape or form, or it's getting you down, or it's really eating into your confidence. Yeah. You are not alone. Yeah. First of all, you're not the only person going through this. Yeah. There's many other people who have gone through it, who are currently going through it, or who will be going through it. And secondly, you're not alone within your life. Yeah. There are people around you who probably have similar experiences or who may be able to help you. Yeah. Even if they can't offer you a job. Yeah. They can talk to you. They
Yeah.
could maybe help you see something that you're not seeing.
Yeah.
Or they can even just distract you for a little while.
Yeah.
There is no point showing yourself off to the world and feeling like a failure.
Yeah.
It's not going to help you move forward in any way, shape, or form, and it's only going to knock your confidence.
Yeah. Well, I think it can be hard because it also depends what you've trained in university and what you've spent the last 3 or 4 years of your life studying. And did you pick something you really want to do, and you've got the enthusiasm and excitement to go into the world and do that because that's what you loved and you did that for 4 years. And then you come out and you're like, yes, I'm ready to do this. I'm excited. Then if you can't get the jobs in that area, that's depressing and upsetting because you were really excited to do it. Another thing is if you studied something you didn't really want to do, say your parents forced you one direction or you thought it was the right choice at the time, and then you come out and you're like, wait, it wasn't really what I thought it was, but it was too late to change. So now I have a degree in something I'm really unsure of, and I'm also don't know where to find the jobs in that thing because it's like a wishy-washy kind of, well, no degree is wishy-washy, but it's just an area that's difficult to find work in. So that can make it really hard. And a way in which it makes it easier is if you study something that was a lot more vocational, or you came out into an area where you know there'll be a job straight away.
Here's the thing. I know we're talking to people who have graduated college and finished college, but in case there's anyone here listening who is going to college, here's a bit of advice.
Yeah.
Pick something that you are going to enjoy.
Yeah.
Don't pick something because it's practical. Don't pick something because there's going to be jobs in it.
Yeah.
Unless your passion in life is nothing to do with a job, and like you'll be just satisfied to work any job whatsoever, and then just do other things in your spare time.
Yeah.
Pick stuff that you are passionate about, that you will want to learn about.
Yeah, because otherwise it makes that course so much harder to study. And
never you mind, is there jobs in it?
Yeah.
Never you mind, is there a lot of money in it?
Or if your
do something you enjoy,
happy.
And then you're going to find a job in it.
Yeah.
And if you can't find a job in it, you're going to make a job in it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because when it's something that you're passionate about, you're going to fight like hell to make it work.
Yeah. Otherwise you'll just give up.
I did law. Through doing law, I developed a small bit of passion for law to the point where I enjoy law, not to the point where I could have a career in law.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and fight like hell and study it for another 2 years to take the bar.
Yeah.
But if I did something that I enjoyed, like creative writing, or acting, or whatever, I would have been willing to work day and night to make it work.
Yeah.
And that's a very important difference.
Definitely.
And I know what you're saying. Sometimes, like you said, yes, you do a degree that may be hard to find a job after college.
Yeah.
But that's where your creativity really needs to come in.
Yeah.
And that's where your passion for that really needs to come in. Like when you're in college, you still have so many opportunities. You can find those internships and volunteer. And when you're out of college, yes, it gets a bit harder if you didn't get any of that behind. If you don't have something like that to pull you up above the crowd.
Yeah.
But here's your time to really figure out if that's the direction that you want to take your life.
Yeah.
And if it is, then show it to the world and fight for it.
Yeah.
Find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
And you might get knocked down for 2 years straight. But guess what? If it is your dream and if it is something that you're really truly passionate about, you're going to keep at it.
Yeah.
And you're going to make it happen. And I know you will.
Yeah. And it's also the same with a lot of jobs, whatever they are, even if you do get in like straight away out of college, but you're in a low level, or you're an intern, or you're like on the ground floor. Nobody comes out of college and is the CEO. Nobody comes out of college and is in a great position that they want to do their whole life. Otherwise, also, your life would be boring. You have to work up to those levels. Even as a nurse, I couldn't come straight out of college and go into the area that I really wanted. I had to get experience behind me, and most jobs will say minimum 2 years experience as a nurse. So you have to go into areas that you don't want and slave away for 2 years to get that. And I feel like that's the same with a lot of careers. If the first 2 years you had to put in the hard work, and you might be on the ground floor of whatever career you wanted, and it's probably going to be shit and you won't enjoy it and you'll question, why am I doing this? But once you have at least 2 years experience in anywhere, as long as you didn't flip between jobs for 2, if you tried and you just like...
But guess what? It's not even that. Yes, it'll be trash. But when you can do that job and show initiative beyond it, depends on the career. If it's just, you just need to experience 2 years experience on paper, sure.
Yeah.
But it will still limit you if you're just an average worker.
Yeah.
But there's still so much opportunity within that if you can, I think in most jobs, I can't think of a single one off the top of my head where this wouldn't apply. Where you're doing a job, but you are willing to go above and beyond and show that you're thinking and not just doing whatever is the minimum expected of you, that will be recognized.
Yeah, definitely.
Spiraling off of that point a little bit, just because you're an adult doesn't mean you know everything.
Yeah.
I think some people might fall into that a little bit,
or that you don't want to ask for help anymore because you think I'm not a little kid.
I should know this.
I can do this independently. I don't need help from anyone else because I'm an adult now. Yeah. And that's a lot of people's pitfalls. I think a lot of men's pitfalls because they are scared or too proud to ask for help. But sometimes you need help.
Yeah.
Most of the time in networking and jobs, you need to know somebody.
No, it's not even within a job space. Like, this is a stupid example, but like the other day, I had to take out a light bulb because it just went out in our kitchen. Yeah. And like, if I stood there for like half an hour and tried to pull on it, I was pulling on it, and
it's a flat ceiling into the ceiling bulb fixture. It's not just like a regular light bulb you unscrew. Yeah,
obviously. Yeah. So I was trying to pull it down, but it was kind of like hard. It wasn't coming out straight away. And probably if I stood there for another half an hour, I could probably figured it out. Yeah. But guess what? I don't need to do that. I don't need to waste my time. I called my dad and I was like, look at this type of fixture. What do I do with it? He said, just pull it a little bit harder. It should be on a spring. It'll come out. Yeah. And that saved me half an hour of my time. Yeah. Not only that, it's like I learned something and I learned how to do it properly. Yeah. It's like, I could have figured it out, but then afterwards I could have been like, was that the right way to do it?
Yeah, and you could have broken it in the process.
I don't know.
If you yanked it out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or electrocuted yourself.
Yeah. Most of the time, people would be more than happy to help.
Yeah.
Or also, we also have a very reliable uncle called Google nowadays. Yes. Where there's a lot of answers to a lot of questions. Yeah. So if you're really someone who really does not want to reach out to a person for help,
Google it.
The internet is often very willing to help as well. Yeah. And honestly,
you can find a wiki how on anything.
I mean anything. At this stage, you could probably find a wiki article on how to seduce Bernie Sanders.
Probably.
And I had to put him in this. I have to put him in every podcast. Have you got any other advice for new adults?
I think don't be too hard on yourself and remember to have fun because you're gonna mess up. Like life is really hard and it is. So don't take life and yourself too seriously.
You're gonna mess up at one point or another. You'll probably mess up more than once.
Yeah, that's the part of being an adult is making mistakes and learning from them, and hopefully not making the same mistakes twice.
That's when you learn the most when you mess up, because you won't want to do it again. And that's also where most of your stories will come from.
That's true.
Down the line, whether you have kids or pets that you want to talk to, or just new friends later on in your life. That's just what happens. Like,
everybody has their own route in life and everyone has to make their own different choices and decisions.
And that's what makes life exciting.
Yeah, and everyone's different. And also don't compare yourself to others because that can be really off-putting when you're like, well, everyone from my graduating class has a job and blah, blah, blah. But you also don't know, does that person's dad work for the company or did that person slave away for hours and hours and hours before they graduated college and was right into those internships and getting them before? You don't know what other people have put in or the hand the other people have been dealt in life. You've been dealt the one you have and you can either work hard or you can just put in bare minimum effort and see what happens, but not much will happen if you don't put much into it.
The only thing you can do is just you can make sure that you feel like you're the sort of person that deserves to get what you're after.
Yeah.
Because if you're someone who doesn't put work into it, it's hard to say I deserve this, unless you're someone who has a really skewed version of reality. Yeah. Of course, there's people who have low confidence who would never say they deserve it. Yeah. But objectively, just, are you working for it or not? Yeah. A lot of times it's easy for us to look at people who have success and be like, oh, why did they deserve it? Well, they've probably put in
a lot of effort.
Some amount of effort towards it, and also, like, if we turned 18 and the day we turned 18, someone came to us with, like, well, it wouldn't be a tome really, this would be a library. They give us keys to a library where you walk in and there's a manual on how to do life.
Yeah.
Every single thing.
Yeah.
First of all, who would read that?
Yeah, that's
boring.
Yeah.
And second of all, everyone's life is on a different trajectory.
Yeah.
If everybody's life was young age, childhood, teenagehood, you go to college, you finish college, you find a wife or a husband, you have kids, you die.
Yeah.
How boring.
That would suck.
Like so boring.
Yeah.
Like my people from my high school are now starting to have children, and I'm like, how boring. Like for some people, that's fulfillment. That's fine.
Yeah.
Do you? For me, I've got other stuff to do first. Do not forget that your life is your own, and you get to do with it what you want.
That's very true.
You don't have to tick any boxes. There's no boxes to tick. The only boxes you have to tick is your own.
And your happiness.
Exactly.
I literally finished a book last night. Oh my god, and the ending was so good. And the girl was like, I don't know about happily ever after, but I sure know a bit about happily now. And it just made me think, I was like, that's really cool. Because there's no happily ever after for anyone on the go, but like you're happy at that time and you are happy in life. That's a good way to be.
But also, what is a happily ever after? It's like the end of a story.
Yeah.
But like, this is your story right now.
Yeah.
It should be as happy as it can be. There's going to be sad times. There's going to be rough times. There are going to be really difficult times.
Yeah.
But you should do whatever you can to try and make sure that you feel like you're living your authentic life that makes you happy.
Yeah.
And that you're doing what inspires you. And just be kind to others.
Yeah.
A lot of other people tend to be going through a lot of their own shit.
Yeah.
So
you never know what people are going through, so just be nice.
Be nice. Appreciate the people around you. Make sure to spend time with the people you love. Anything else? Any other piece of advice that we want to part with?
From our old wisdom of adults.
Yeah.
Years of living as independent adults.
Yeah.
No, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Just be yourself.
Just be good.
No, you be good.
Yeah. And don't you lie. All right. I don't know why we're finishing on a somber top.
Like we're so emotionally drained.
Yeah, honestly, this I'm ready to just live life again.
Yeah.
But yeah, make the most of whatever you're dealt with.
Yeah, make the most of your time on this earth.
Some people have easier cards. Some people have tougher cards.
Yeah.
We could never be on a level playing field, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Just gotta take what you have, make the most with it, and go and rule the world.
That's it.
I think we can finish on that note.
So I hope that you guys enjoyed this week's podcast.
Hopefully you took something good from it.
And I guess we will see you guys next week.
If you want to check us out, we are on YouTube, where you can also see our faces, if that is what you are into.
Tired and withered faces.
Yep. Otherwise, you can listen to us on Spotify or also Apple Podcasts, which the links are on YouTube. Or if you want to just search for us, that is tag yourself, I'm ... All right, signing out. Hope you have an amazing week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Goodbye.